In a time when the Israelites were restless and feeling vulnerable, surrounded by powerful neighbors who had kings to lead their armies and govern their people, the Israelites longed for a king of their own. They wanted someone who could unify the tribes and lead them into battle, someone who could bring order and strength. Up to this point, Israel had been governed by judges, leaders raised up by God in times of crisis. But now the people desired a more permanent human ruler. They approached Samuel, the last judge and a respected prophet, demanding a king. Samuel was deeply troubled by this request. He knew that God was Israel's true king and ruler, and he understood that asking for a human king meant rejecting God's direct leadership. But God instructed Samuel to heed the people's wishes. It was part of God's sovereign plan, even if it came with consequences. So Samuel obeyed and set out to find the man God had chosen to be the first king of Israel. God directed Samuel to a man named Saul, the son of Kish, from the tribe of Benjamin. Saul was a striking figure, tall, handsome, and physically impressive. Among the tribesmen, he was like a towering tree in a forest of smaller bushes. But Saul was not yet aware of the great destiny laid before him. To him, life was likely just ordinary, tending to family and community affairs, unaware that God's hand was about to transform his path. Samuel went to find Saul hiding in the outskirts of town, hesitant and unsure about what lay ahead. When Saul was brought before Samuel, God revealed to Samuel that this was the man chosen to lead his people. Samuel anointed Saul with oil, pouring it over his head as a sacred act, signifying God's blessing and empowerment. This moment marked a dramatic turning point. An ordinary man was now set apart by God to become Israel's first king. After the anointing, Saul's spirit was changed. He was filled with a newfound courage and confidence, though he had much to learn about leadership and obedience. Initially, Saul was humble, hiding among the baggage as the people gathered for the public announcement of his kingship, uncertain and nervous. But soon he stood before Israel as their anointed king, ready to lead. The early days of Saul's reign were filled with promise. He led the Israelites to victories against their enemies, such as the Ammonites, proving himself as a capable warrior and leader. The people cheered, and hope blossomed for a united and strong Israel. However, the path of kingship was not simple. Saul faced internal struggles and moments of doubt, especially in his relationship with God and the prophet Samuel. There were times when Saul's impatience and fear led him to disobey God's commands, testing the fragile trust between king and prophet. One such moment was when Saul offered a sacrifice himself, a task reserved for the priests because Samuel was late in arriving. This act of disobedience was a warning that Saul's reign would be fraught with challenges. Later, Saul failed to fully obey God's command to utterly destroy the Amalekites and all they possessed. Instead, he spared their king and kept some of the spoils, hoping to appease his own desires or gain favor with his soldiers. This incomplete obedience cost Saul dearly. God rejected him as king, and the mantle of leadership was eventually passed to another, David. Saul's story is a profound reminder that God's calling requires more than outward appearance or initial success. It calls for humility, faithfulness, and a heart fully surrendered to God's will. His rise and fall demonstrate how easily fear, pride, and impatience can derail even the most promising beginnings. Yet even in Saul's failings, there is a lesson of God's justice and mercy at work. Saul's life was a complex blend of divine purpose and human weakness, illustrating that leadership under God is not about perfection, but about obedience and trust. This anointing of Saul marks a new chapter in Israel's history, the start of the monarchy, shaping the destiny of a nation and setting the stage for the future king, David, who would become the man after God's own heart. If you are loving this video, please hit both that subscribe and like button to help this message to spread far and wide. Check out the rest of the Bible Stories playlist to enjoy heartwarming events of the Bible brought alive. Thank you for supporting the Wake Up channel. God bless you.